The 1979 United States Jefferson Nickel is a circulating 5-cent coin representing the long-running series that began in 1938 and continues today. This coin features a familiar design honoring Thomas Jefferson, America's third president and principal author of the Declaration of Independence, along with a depiction of his famous home, Monticello, on the reverse. By 1979, the design had already been in continuous use for decades, yet collectors still find this year interesting due to its Cold War production environment, the aging master hubs used by the mint, and the presence of strike-quality variations that affect appearance and value. Millions of these coins are produced for everyday transactions, meaning most examples exist in heavily circulated condition, while sharply struck, fully lustrous pieces are significantly scarcer. On the obverse, the 1979 Jefferson Nickel shows a classic left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson created by sculptor Felix Schlag, who won a national design competition in 1938. The portrait displays Jefferson with strong facial features, tied hair, and a formal coat collar rising behind his neck. Above the portrait appears the motto, "In God We Trust," placed along the left rim. On the right side of the coin, following the arc of the border, is the word Liberty followed by a 5-point star, and then the date 1979. Near the portrait's lower edge and almost blending into the field is the designer's initials, though faint and often unnoticed. The quality of the obverse strike varies widely in 1979 coins, and many circulated pieces show flat details in Jefferson's hair and cheek, a result of worn dyes and high mintage volume that year. The reverse of the 1979 nickel features Jefferson's estate, Monticello, a neoclassical dome mansion in Virginia that represents Jefferson's architectural taste and intellectual legacy. The building is shown straight on, emphasizing symmetry but also revealing design limitations. The central dome often appears soft on worn coins, and steps at the base of the structure frequently strike weakly unless the coin is a high-quality example. Above the building is the Latin motto E pluribus una, meaning out of many, one, a traditional American phrase. Directly below the structure appears the name Monticello, followed by the denomination 5 cents. At the bottom rims runs United States of America. Collectors of Jefferson Nickels pay special attention to the clarity of the steps at the base of Monticello. A fully struck example showing full steps, FS, is significantly more valuable and rare for 1979. In terms of composition, the 1979 Jefferson Nickel is made from the long-standing alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving the coin its distinctive silvery appearance. It weighs 5 grams, has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters, and features a smooth, plain edge with no reading. The alloy is extremely durable, which is why older nickels often survive in circulation for decades without major damage. Because the composition remained unchanged since 1866, except during World War II, 1979 nickels share the same basic physical properties as modern ones. Regarding minting and mintage, the year 1979 saw the production of Jefferson Nickels at 2 major U.S. mint facilities, Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, D. Philadelphia typically produced the largest share that year. Strike quality from Philadelphia is known to be softer, while Denver examples often show better detail but are still not consistently sharp. Millions upon millions of coins were minted, ensuring the 1979 nickel is common in circulated conditions. However, in uncirculated grades, especially MS66 and higher, and with full steps, it becomes much scarcer and sought after by registry collectors. The historical context of the 1979 nickel is also interesting. The late 1970s were a period of economic inflation, rising metal prices, and heavy coin circulation throughout the United States. The mint focused on mass production efficiency, which unfortunately meant die ware was common and quality control looser than earlier decades. As a result, many 1,979 nickels show signs of die fatigue such as weakness in Monticello steps, flat hairlines on Jefferson, and mushy lettering. These characteristics help collectors identify original mint conditions and understand why premium examples are more valuable. There are no major regular issue varieties for the 1979 nickel, unlike dates such as 1939 or 1943, but minor differences do exist between early and late die strikes. Some coins show die cracks, die polishing lines, or slightly rotated dies. None of these are considered official varieties, but they add personality to individual pieces and may interest era collectors. The errors of 1,979 nickels can be valuable. These include off-center strikes, broad strikes without collars, double strikes, clip planche from metal strip cutting errors, die breaks, cuds, and rare double die obverse or reverse examples. Dramatic errors, especially those showing major misalignment, are much more desirable than subtle die varieties and can bring significantly higher premiums compared with normal coins. In terms of value, common circulated 1979 nickels generally have low monetary worth, often just face value unless in exceptionally nice condition. Uncirculated examples, however, can command premiums depending on grade. Coins graded MS65 or MS66 with strong luster and clean surfaces become collectible. The true key to value is the full steps designation, awarded only when the steps of Monticello are fully separated, usually requiring a near-perfect strike. Full steps coins of 1979 can be worth dramatically more than regular strikes due to their rarity. Overall, the 1979 Jefferson Nickel represents a fascinating mix of history, artistry, and industrial minting practices. While it may appear ordinary in circulation, its deeper story involves design longevity, changing American culture, and the technical challenges of mass-producing coins with consistent detail. For collectors, the year offers an opportunity to study strike quality, search for full steps examples, and appreciate one of America's longest-running coin designs. The 2000D Jefferson Nickel, minted at the Denver Mint, is part of the long-running Jefferson Nickel series that began in 1938. Although the design remained mostly unchanged for decades, the year 2000 sits at a very interesting point in the series, right before America entered a period of redesign and modernization. The 2000D nickel is therefore seen not only as a common circulation coin, but as one of the final traditional issues of the 20th century, bridging older minting methods with the technological improvements that would soon define the early 2000s. Its inscriptions, United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, Monticello, Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date 2000, connect this small 5-cent piece to a much larger story of American identity, craftsmanship, and monetary evolution. On the obverse front, the coin features a long-standing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, founding father, philosopher, statesman, and primary author of the Declaration of Independence. The design is derived from the work of sculptor Felix Schlag, whose classical style gives Jefferson a dignified and noble appearance. Jefferson faces left, with his gaze slightly forward, suggesting contemplation and intellectual depth, consistent with his historical image as a scholar, architect, and visionary leader. Along the upper edge of the coin, the motto "In God We Trust" is displayed prominently, honoring the country's long historical connection to faith and spiritual guidance. On the left side appears the elegant, script-style Liberty, followed immediately by the date 2000 in a clear, modern font. Just beside the date is the Mint Mark D, identifying the Denver Mint as a producer. In uncirculated specimens, Jefferson's jawline, hair strands, cheekbone, and clothing details remain sharp, while circulated pieces show smoothness caused by years of use. The reverse back of the 2000D nickel features the iconic image of Monticello, Jefferson's architectural masterpiece and lifelong home in Virginia. Monticello is more than a building. It represents Jefferson's creativity, scientific interests, and desire to blend European neoclassical architecture with American ideals. On the coin, Monticello is shown from the front, with a central dome rising above the symmetrical columns and doorways. Above the building is a historic motto, E Pluribus Unum, meaning out of many, one, symbolizing unity among the states and the diverse citizens who form the American people. Beneath the building is the inscription Monticello, written in block letters, and under that the denomination 5 cents. At the bottom rim, the legend United States of America completes the design, grounding the coin firmly in national identity and tradition. The composition of the 2000D nickel is the same durable alloy used since 1866, 75% copper and 25% nickel, a combination chosen for its resistance to corrosion, long-standing affordability, and smooth silver-gray appearance. With a weight of 5 grams, a diameter of 21.21 millimeters, and a plain edge, the Jefferson nickel is both sturdy and practical. Even though the coin might appear silver in color, it contains no silver metal. The Q-Pro nickel alloy produces a bright sheen when freshly minted, becoming more subdued as a coin circulates. By the year 2000, technological improvements and striking methods allowed mints like Denver to produce coins with better consistency, sharper details, and fewer striking flaws, though variations still occur, making some pieces especially interesting to collectors. The Denver Mint, represented by the D Mint mark, produced hundreds of millions of 2000 D nickels, making this issue widely available across the United States. These coins were released primarily for circulation, meaning most examples show moderate wear today. However, high-grade uncirculated pieces, especially those with flawless luster and strong definition on Jefferson's portrait, are significantly more desirable. For collectors, one of the most important aspects to examine is the reverse detail, especially the steps leading up to Monticello. When the steps are fully visible and sharply struck without breaks or flattening, the nickel can earn the coveted designation of full steps FS. These full steps coins are rare because striking the steps clearly requires perfect die pressure, alignment, and plan check quality. As a result, 2000 D nickels with full steps can command higher prices on the numismatic market. Historically, the year 2000 marks the dawn of a new millennium, a moment filled with technological ambition, economic change, and cultural transformation. Coins minted in that year, like the 2000 D nickel, carry a symbolic weight as some of the final pieces produced under the long-standing 20th century U.S. minting traditions. The Jefferson nickel was still uniform and unchanged, unlike the quarters which had just begun their massive 50-state quarter program in 1999. While other denominations underwent redesigns, the nickel served as a quiet, steady presence in American commerce, appearing in vending machines, public transportation, convenience stores, gas stations, arcades, and countless daily transactions. Its familiar design offered continuity during a time when the world around it was rapidly modernizing. From a numismatic perspective, the 2000 D Jefferson nickel presents a fascinating landscape for collectors. Many varieties, minor die breaks, die clash marks, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and other minting anomalies can be found among the millions produced. The Denver Mint in this era was known for high-speed production, meaning occasional quality inconsistencies create collectible error coins. Uncirculated rolls, mint set examples, and coins preserved in pristine condition offer the chance to appreciate the design's full beauty: sharp Monticello pillars, crisp inscriptions, bright mint luster, and clean edges unmarred by circulation. When preserved well, the 2000 D nickel highlights the full precision of Felix Schlage's original sculptural artistry. On a broader cultural level, the 2000 D nickel reminds Americans of Thomas Jefferson's immense influence. The coin serves as a daily tribute to his contributions: authorship of the Declaration of Independence, advocacy for education, belief in the rights of individuals, scientific curiosity, and architectural innovation. The inscriptions Liberty, E Pluribus Unum, and In God We Trust reflect enduring national principles: freedom, unity, and moral grounding. Monticello, Jefferson's carefully designed home, symbolizes an era of intellectual creativity and the blending of philosophy with American frontier life. Thus, even though the 2000 D nickel is small in value, it carries a powerful connection to the history, ideals, and aspirations of the United States. Altogether, the 2000 D Jefferson nickel stands as a resilient, meaningful piece of American coinage. Whether found in circulation, saved in a collection, or preserved as a bright, uncirculated example, the coin represents a transition from the 20th to the 21st century, the closing chapter of the traditional Jefferson nickel design, and the lasting legacy of Thomas Jefferson. Its inscriptions, artwork, and symbolism combine to make it more than just a monetary instrument. It is a miniature monument of American democracy, unity, and heritage. The 1983 P. Jefferson Nickel, minted at the Philadelphia Mint, is part of the long and iconic Jefferson Nickel series that began in 1938 and continues to be an enduring piece of American history. The 1983 P issue emerges from a period of economic strain, technological improvement, and changing political landscapes in the United States. Although millions of these coins are produced, each individual piece still carries a deep symbolism of American identity through its inscriptions. United States of America, E pluribus unum, Monticello, Liberty, In God We Trust, and the year 1983 accompanied by the P mint mark. On a surface that seems simple at first glance lies a layered story of craftsmanship, national heritage, and the evolving artistry of a United States mint. On the obverse front of the 1983 P nickel, the design centers around the left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, principal author of the Declaration of Independence, scholar, inventor, architect, diplomat, and a towering figure in early American history. Sculptor Felix Schlag created this portrait in 1938, and despite the passing of 4.5 decades by 1983, the image remained a central icon of American coinage. Jefferson appears with a calm but resolute expression. His hair, tied in the style of the 18th century, flows in a detailed yet modest manner down to the collar of his coat. Just above his head appears a national motto, In God We Trust, aligning the nation's spiritual beliefs with its political ideals. To the left of Jefferson's portrait is the inscription Liberty, written in a cursive, flowing script that stands out from a more rigid lettering used elsewhere on the coin. To the right of the portrait sits the year 1983, and next to it the P mint mark, identifying Philadelphia as a minting location. This mint mark holds particular significance because Philadelphia did not use a mint mark on nickels until 1980, making the P still relatively new at the time. The reverse, back, of the 1983 P nickel displays one of America's most recognizable architectural icons, Monticello, Thomas Jefferson's home in Charlottesville, Virginia. Designed by Jefferson himself, Monticello is a fusion of European neoclassical inspiration and Jefferson's own intellectual creativity. On the coin, Monticello is depicted with a distinctive central dome, symmetrical columns, arched windows, and elongated steps. Above the building is a Latin phrase, E pluribus unum, translating to out of many, one, symbolizing the unity of the 50 states and the diverse American people. Beneath the building is the name Monticello in bold capital letters, followed by the denomination 5 cents. Below these inscriptions rests the foundational title United States of America, grounding the coin's imagery within the national context. The alignment of these inscriptions and the architectural rendering of Monticello create an elegant, balanced reverse design that has remained unchanged for generations. The physical characteristics of the 1983 P nickel adhere to the long-standing specifications of the Jefferson Nickel series. Composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, the coin weighs 5 grams, measures 21.21 millimeters in diameter, and has a plain edge with no reading. This alloy gives the coin its distinctive silvery appearance, although it contains no actual silver. The cupro-nickel blend is incredibly durable, designed for heavy circulation in harsh conditions. By 1983, the United States was recovering from the economic challenges of the late 1970s and early 1980s, and coins like the nickel played a crucial role in everyday commerce, vending machines, transportation fares, small purchases, public telephones, parking meters, and retail counters across the nation. From a historical perspective, the year 1983 is particularly notable because the U.S. Mint did not produce official mint sets in 1982 or 1983 due to federal budget cuts. As a result, uncirculated coins from these years, including the 1983 P nickel, were not widely preserved in pristine condition at the time of issue. Many collectors today consider 1983 coins scarcer, in high grades compared to other modern issues. This makes the 1983 P nickel especially interesting to numismatists who seek well-struck, uncirculated, and sharply detailed examples. The lack of mint sets means that most surviving high-grade specimens come from carefully saved bankrolls or fortunate finds in circulation. A key feature collectors look for in the 1983 P nickel is the condition of the steps on Monticello, located at the bottom of the building on the reverse. These steps, when fully visible and sharply struck with no interruptions, qualify a coin for the sought-after full steps FS designation. Achieving full steps requires perfect die pressure, clean dies, and optimal plancheck quality, conditions that were not always present during mass production. Thus, 1983 P nickels with full steps are considerably more valuable and harder to find. Additionally, the coins from this era may exhibit die cracks, die wear, planchet flaws, or strike weakness, creating an array of collectible varieties, errors, and anomalies. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of nickels in 1983, but the sheer quantity does not diminish the historical and numismatic richness of the piece. In circulated condition, most 1983p nickels show softening around Jefferson's cheekbone, where on the steps of Monticello, and smoothing of the inscriptions, evidence of years of service in daily transactions. However, preserved uncirculated examples reveal the full beauty of Schlag's design, with shimmering luster, crisp details, and clean edges. The Philadelphia Mint had improved technology and quality control by this period, but the absence of mint sets still places extra emphasis on surviving high-quality coins. Culturally, the 1983p Jefferson Nickel acts as a miniature tribute to Thomas Jefferson's legacy, carrying forward his values and contributions with every transaction. The inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and E Pluribus Unum encompass America's core ideals: freedom, faith, and unity. Meanwhile, Monticello symbolizes scientific curiosity, architectural creativity, intellectual independence, and Jefferson's enduring influence on American governance and innovation. Even though the coin seems small and ordinary, it represents a continuation of Jefferson's presence in American life, touching millions of hands, pockets, cash registers, and memories over the decades. Ultimately, the 1983p Jefferson Nickel stands as a resilient and symbolic piece of U.S. numismatic history. Its inscriptions pay homage to foundational American principles, its imagery reflects the country's architectural and political heritage, and its circulation story highlights the economic realities of early 1980s America. Whether found in circulation, stored in a collection, or preserved in pristine uncirculated condition, the coin remains a powerful reminder of America's continuity, values, and historical depth. From its durable Q-Pro nickel composition to its portrayal of Jefferson and Monticello, the 1983p nickel is more than a 5-cent piece. It is a miniature monument, a historical artifact, and a lasting symbol of national identity.